Hi, I'm Pat Morris, your host for the PM Talk Show. Our telecast is made possible by these fine underwriters, and we thank them very much.
Locally owned and operated by Drs. Wheat and Boobridge, the Animal Care Center in Hammond and Pet Care Center in Ponchatoula have 6 vets on staff with nearly a century of combined experience. Celebrating our 30th birthday in May, the Animal Care Center has offered a full line of veterinary services, which includes medicine, surgery, grooming, boarding, and 7 days a week emergency services. Our mission is to provide the highest quality of veterinary care in a professional, compassionate manner. The Animal Care Center and Pet Care Center, a commitment to excellence with love and care for your pet.
Hello again, this is Pat Morris, your host for the PM Talk Show. We're welcoming you, thanking you again also for joining our show today. And we decided that we wanted to come back and do a part 2 with Principal Terran Perry from Hammond High. We're at the end of the school year, and we want to talk about his successes for this year and all of the good things that happened this past Thursday with his awards ceremony. I'm telling you, it was very impressive. How are you today?
I'm pretty good today, Ms. Morris.
Great,
You doing
great,
okay?
Good. We came last Thursday to your awards ceremony, and I'm still beaming over what I saw. So I'm going to ask you to just share what led up to what we saw with all of the kids who had gotten rewards starting out.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Hard work.
Yeah.
Hard work. Our kids worked hard this past year, and you saw the results of
Yes.
their hard work and their labor. You know, they gave us their all, and so we decided to reward them accordingly. This a couple of weeks ago, and it was quite an event. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
I was very proud.
It was, and the parental involvement that I saw, it was just astounding to see that many parents out supporting their kids and supporting your efforts and the efforts of your staff.
Yes, ma'am. That was that meant a lot to me as a principal, and that meant a lot to I know it meant a lot to our staff, and it meant a lot to our children and our community as a whole to walk into that room and see an entire side of the auditorium filled with parents and you know, for a school community like Hammond Junior High School, and we know what the parental involvement that's involved in high poverty schools, and it's not just going on at Hammond Junior High School, but there's a lack of parental involvement where it counts in many high poverty, high needs areas. But to walk into that auditorium for that awards day and see that whole side filled with parents, it was a great sight. It was nice.
Right. Actually, I saw a lot on the other side, too.
Yes, the other
A
side too.
whole lot on the other side. So you had a room full of parents, and we want to thank the parents for coming out and supporting your school, ultimately supporting your children and supporting your school. Now, I understand that you would like to see 5th and 6th grade added to your school. What's the significance of doing that?
Absolutely. 5th grade and 6th grade, for that matter, are considered middle school years. And you know, with many schools go with the 6th through 8th grade, but 5th grade is also a middle year. And you know, some schools consider 5th grade elementary, other areas consider 5th grade middle school. We want to adopt the middle school philosophy and to kind of get away from the actual junior high school philosophy, and you know, so just to have those kids, and they make changes from elementary to middle school ages. Even when talking IB, the entire MYP, or the middle years program, actually starts with 5th grade and moves all the way through 10th grade, for that matter, because those kids are pretty much, you know, the middle school minded student is different from the elementary minded student. And that's one major reason as to why we would like to see additional grade levels at, you know, the junior high school or the middle school, for that matter. The other reason is just because we know how effective the instruction is inside of our building. We know that if we can get these students at least a year earlier, and the data doesn't lie, then we can have more students leaving our school campus and going into high school on level in English language arts and on level in math. And that's what's most important to us at this point. If the school wasn't effective in terms of delivering instruction, I wouldn't push so hard to have these additional grade levels added to that school.
Right. You know, and we agree wholeheartedly with you because, as I told an administrator last week, I believe it was, I said, number one, you should have been there. Number two, it makes sense because when we were in school, 5th and 6th grade through 8th grade were really considered middle school years. And when you look at what's going on in the mindset of these kids who are just at that age now where they're trying to identify who they are, and I'm grown, I've been everywhere, I know everything. But when you have them and when you are able to transcend what you've done with 7th and 8th graders back to 5th and 6th grade, you won't have that thing of where you have to spend sometimes a half a semester just getting them ready to take 7th grade work. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am. Absolutely, that's exactly right. And you know, just looking at the data, I was studying our test data just the other night, and you know, I can clearly see, you know, a pattern. I can see that at this point, you know, we're not losing any students. You know, all we need is a little more time with them.
Right.
Yeah, that's what I'm seeing. You know, we are a school, and hopefully we've gotten out of our status. We won't know that until around August, or around August. But we're pretty confident that we have. But even, you know, set aside the statuses and this and that, we know that it's just about the amount of time that we need with these students. Because right now you have a school in which the instruction is effective, it's doing right by students, it's properly educating students, and now the school is facing a dilemma to where, okay, well, if we have a little more time with them, then we can send them to high school, more to high school, on level in English language arts and on level in math. And the reason I keep harping on kids being on level, leaving 8th grade on level in English language arts and on math, is because if a kid leaves 8th grade on level in English language arts and on level in math, that means basic in English language arts and in math, then that kid is far more likely to graduate from high school on time with his peers or her peers. So that's why this is important. Those who leave us and who are not on level, they stand a much greater risk of not graduating from high school on time. So that's why this is important.
Right. And I believe you because let's go back to last Thursday at your awards ceremony. When I saw the kids who got awards, and it was the majority of your 7th and 8th grade students, because when you asked all of the other students to stand, I think it was something like less than 20 that I saw that were standing, so that meant everybody else was up front getting awards. But I've never seen a level of confidence and of pride in middle school, or if you want to say, some want to say junior high school, but I've never seen, it's been a long time since I've seen that much pride that kids took in what they accomplished. So that told me not only were the kids satisfied, the teachers and your administration was comfortable in knowing that whatever that child needed, to the best of their abilities, and you could tell they got the best, because I'm looking at the 3.0s up to the 4.0s for long periods of time, them getting what they needed. And I compliment you all for doing a job well done.
Thank you.
I really do. Now, Miss Sandra Bailey Simmons is our board member, and she volunteered some time last year to a child. You want to tell us about that? Because I was sitting in the audience almost crying when that happened.
Itching to talk about what Miss Bailey Simmons has done this past school year.
Right.
And I think she wanted it kept quiet purposefully. Miss Bailey Simmons pretty much volunteered every single Wednesday of this entire school year to come to our school and to tutor a kid who has dyslexia. And this kid ended up scoring masteries, and this kid did extremely well on his sleep tests. And you know, and that's the beauty of this, is that Miss Bailey Simmons is in politics. You see, she could have easily used this for any kind of political gain, but that wasn't the purpose.
Right.
And nobody knew, but our faculty, me, Miss Bailey Simmons, and the child that she was tutoring. And that says a lot. That says a whole lot. So we decided, I know we caught her off guard during the award ceremony, but we wanted to basically say thank you to her, because those are the kinds of people we need in those kinds of positions,
Right.
because they show you that they're not about the politics.
Right.
They're about doing what's in the best interest of children, and I have so much respect for Ms. Sandra Bailey Simmons for what she's done for my kids this school year.
Yeah. Well, I asked her if she was going to follow this young man at Hammond High, and she said he's going to be okay, but I'm going to stay. I want to stay at Hammond Junior High. So, Ms. Sandra, I'm fixing to put your business out in the streets, but I've talked to some administrators and asked them to, so you have so many talents here that we see that you're not using that can help the kids. And I say, Ms. Simmons, as a board member, her having taught dyslexic kids, taught the disorder at Southeastern, her being dyslexic herself and how she has made it, what better person than to have someone of her caliber to get a group of teachers from across the parish that would come in and she could show them how it's done. Because when you look at a person that's dyslexic or autistic, these are really smart people. They just can't verbalize or do it the way we do it. But once they learn that technique, like the young man that was at your school, her first 6 weeks with him, he scored a 4.0. And who would have thought that that would have happened? Because usually they sit back and don't say anything because they don't want to go through the embarrassment of somebody maybe not understanding what's going on. But I want her to know, and I want the child to know, I want you all and your staff to know how proud we are of you guys for doing what you're doing, because you're doing an extraordinary job in making sure that the kids get what they need before they go to the next level. Now, how is that followed once they leave you in the 9th grade? How is that supposed to be followed at Hammond High? In terms of follow whatever, say if they take courses, in your case, you had some who passed Algebra 1 and English 1. And when they went to the 9th grade, they were actually taking those same 2 courses, but on a 10th grade level.
Yes.
How are they supposed to keep up with that?
Yes, they pretty much give a student a chance to take more advanced courses when they make it to high school.
Right.
I read an article and the other day, and it was concerning a student who graduated from high school and graduated from college at the exact same time. At the minute she received her high school diploma and her college degree at the same time.
Right.
And yeah, those are the kinds of thoughts that I have.
Right.
Those are the that's where my mind is, and people, they say, you know, that it's you know, the revolutionary or the rebel and this and that, but my mind is focused on the things that our kids can achieve, and when I see stories like that, I think about right here in Hammond, right here in Tangible Parish, that these things are possible. We have kids here who can do just what this young lady did,
Right.
and now this young lady is going to have a head start in life, period. She can go to law school. She can go to law school at 17 years old. You see,
Oh my God.
You see, and that's the kinds of things that we have to reach for. I mean, we can't just settle for mediocrity and just for the status quo. We have to reach for greater things.
Right,
So
right.
that's why we're trying to push those kids out and more advanced junior high school courses, so that they can take more advanced high school courses. That's the purpose of that.
Well, one thing is for certain, when you go and you do the things that you're doing, the kids won't forget it. And when you look at what we're in now with the DSEG case, what better way to make a perfect example of how this can work and become a success story, as opposed to, well, we still in and don't know when we're going to get out of it. There is a way out. But and you're showing that it can be done. So it's no point in somebody saying it can't be done, they're too young. That's not true. Absolutely. Because the kids today are not like we were, not like I was as a child. They want to excel. So let's get them there. You know, how do you feel about that?
My question is, who are we to hold it back?
Right.
In the world, the kind of world that we live in today, holding them back in any area would be dealing them a huge injustice. And that's the way I see this. I see this as this kids' civil rights. I see this as their rights to be educated,
Right.
and you know, we as educators, we have to be the facilitators to just simply guide them through the process.
Yeah.
And again, you know, I understand that I'm a visionary, and I understand that you know, people may, you know, sometimes think that, okay, well, that's not that's being unrealistic. But you know, my reality is that especially after seeing the kids perform for the last 2 years at Hammond Junior High School and the growth, you know, because many times it's the growth that matters. So my reality is that they all can do it. Is that they all can achieve great things, and it's up to us to figure out how to make them tick, and that's our job as educators.
Well, we're getting ready to go for a break now, and when we come back with part 2, we're going to continue to delve into all of the great things that are happening at Hammond Junior High and expanding 5th to 6th grade because you want to reach more kids. We're going on a break, and we'll be right back.
Shelters are the best places to find a new pet.
What a perfectly beautiful little lady.
That's where you'll discover healthy, loyal, and loving animals.
You little rascal.
Eager to become a part of your family. A person is the best thing to happen to a shelter pet.
Oh, ladies first.
Be that person. Adopt.
This is living. Hey, kid.
To find out more, visit theshelterpetproject.org.
Welcome back to the PM Talk Show. Today we have with us our special guest, Mr. Terran Perry, who's the principal at Hammond Junior High, and he recently had an award ceremony, and we're at the end of a school year. Summer school is going on from kids from different schools. Maybe you shouldn't have that many from your school that's having to go to summer school.
We have quite a few students who are going to summer school, maybe about the same number, give or take, from last school year, but that's another reason why I'm pushing for additional grade levels, because you know, the kids who didn't pass, you know, are kids who saw more growth, just like last year, than they've probably ever seen since they've been in 3rd grade.
Oh my God.
You see, so that lets us know that if these kids had been educated properly since they've in 5th grade, 4th grade, 3rd grade, 6th grade for that matter, and not to take anything away from our feeder schools, but again, we have to do what we know is best as educators also. So if a kid is able to grow that much at the junior high school level, then you know, that kid wouldn't be in summer school right now. That kid would have all advanced on his or her standardized assessment at this point. And that's the way we have to take a look at that. Where would these kids be had they been receiving or being properly educated since they've been in grade school? We can't wait until they're in 8th grade to properly educate them.
Exactly. I saw some kids coming to summer school on a high school level over at Crystal Street yesterday, and a parent happened to pass by, and I'm talking to another adult there, and she was saying, "I am so upset." I said, "Ma'am, please don't do that." I said, "I don't think it's that much that he needs to take." She said, "No, but he missed something." And I said, "Well, that's the purpose. You thank God the summer school is here." And I said, "Young man, do what you need to do so that next summer you won't have to come here, but you can keep going forward." And I said the same thing. Sometimes kids can become disenfranchised for whatever reason, and they don't get what they need. But as far as the teachers and the administrators go, if you have parental support, then there's absolutely no reason why some things should be happening, but they are.
You're exactly right. I'm thinking about a parent that we met with, and although her child has to go to summer school, we sat her down and we showed her and the child where her child was at the beginning of the school year and where her child is now. And when she saw the growth, it's like, okay, well, my kid can learn. My kid, you know, all of this time, my kid has been making unsatisfactory, yet receiving C's, B's, and A's in school. And that's when it becomes a problem also.
Right.
And I know that that's a whole nother topic to talk about, the discrepancies between classroom grades and standardized test scores. But to sit this parent down and to show her how much her daughter has grown in 1 year, you know, exceeding her growth target that was set to her by the state. You see those kinds of things, and those are the kinds of things that I think about. Where would these students be scoring?
Right.
If they had been in the school for 3 years, for 4 years, if they had been exposed to this kind of instruction for 3 years, 4 years, they'd be scoring advanced. They'd be scoring mastery. And
Right.
I'm not saying that because I'm the principal of the school.
But the facts
I'm
are
saying
what
that
they are.
because of the teachers that are in the building and,
Right.
and the jobs that they're doing with the children. I mean,
Right.
they work hard. It takes hard work. But we're proving that, you know, hard work pays off, and sometimes when you're dealing with certain populations of students, you have to work a little harder. You have to work a little harder, but why not?
Right.
Why not?
Right. You know, when you say that, I think about how hard you work inside the walls and even outside the walls surrounding your school. And I'm thinking of one day when Hammond PD, they were looking for somebody who happened to run through that way. And when the cars were parked around the school, how you went and asked them, please move your cars. You know, we don't want that impression. But even when you go to that level to know that you have a good school here, and let's be realistic, as good as you are, and I know you're good, I have no doubt in my mind, I know you've done an excellent job. There's no doubt about that. But you had to do it with staff who see your vision and how you all work so closely together. And I just want to tell them again, teachers, administrators, and staff, you all just don't know how much you are appreciated at Hammond Junior High, because the numbers don't lie. They don't lie. And when I look at stuff, that's what I'm looking at, to see the growth like you explained to the parent. And thank you for doing that, because she probably never would have known that.
Yeah. And that's why it's important that we educate our parents concerning
Exactly.
how to hold us accountable.
Exactly.
People talk negatively about standardized test scores, but you know, my point is that we live in a standardized world. That
Right.
the kids are always going to have to take tests. That's the world that we live in. A kid is not going to practice law unless the kid passes the bar, the standardized bar exam. A kid has to pass medical exams, standardized exams, in order to practice medicine. So let's not be unrealistic in that area and say, okay, well, let's do away with standardized tests, or let's bash standardized tests. Let's teach our kids the art of test-taking skills.
Right.
That should be a part of education. You see, not that you're teaching to a test or anything like that, because we don't want to do that.
Right.
What we want to do is make sure that they're equipped with the knowledge base to ace standardized tests, to not become stressed when they're taking these standardized tests, and that's all of that should be a part of education.
Right. Well, I want to tell you that whatever you and your staff, your teachers, your other administrators are doing, just keep doing it. And one of the things I announced at your banquet, I've been talking to our national office, our media department, and our publications department about doing a success story type story on your school, on you as a principal, because personally, and even though we get about 1 million hits on Wednesdays and Sunday nights, the world needs to know the success of Principal Terran. And they kind of laughed when I told them, you kind of remind me of Joe Clark, not the baseball bat and everything, because I know you don't do that.
That's actually my favorite part of the movie.
Right, but the seriousness that you take in making sure that every child deserves a right to learn. You know, and I appreciate that. And it doesn't matter if they're black or white. If that child walks across the thresholds of Hammond Junior High, they are going to learn. And they're going to do it with the love of your teachers, and it brings out more parental involvement. And don't kid yourself. Kids go home and tell mom and daddy what happens at school. They do that. So we're very happy that a success story can be told, and we just want to share it with the world. And I'm looking at maybe the middle of the first 6 weeks to give you all time to get up and running, and just look at some more things in the parish that we're doing as far as getting everything settled and leaving kids with the idea that, yes, I am somebody, and yes, I can learn. So tell me, when you look at the administrators and the teachers that you have, how do you feel about what they're doing? And I don't think you're the type of person that has to look over the shoulders, because when a person knows what to do, then they're savvy enough to go on and do what they need to do because they know what they're working with.
Our teachers and our administrative team, I think we have some of the best in the state. I think we have some of the best in the world, for that matter, because I know that they work hard, and they work hard not because they have to. It's not a job for them. It's a passion.
Right.
And I've said this before, that I'm blessed, and I don't use that term pretty often, but I just feel blessed and lucky to be surrounded by such a group of hardworking individuals, and a group of individuals who care. And that's the thing about the school, and they bought into the vision. The leadership team, the teachers, they kind of said, okay, well, we're going to take Mr. Perry, good and bad, and we see the direction, we see where he wants us to go for this school, and this is where we want to go.
Right.
And they bought into that, and they're there.
Right.
They're going to be there, and they're going to be there to regardless to what condition those students come through those doors in, and that's what we had to accept. We're going to educate them.
Right.
And we're going to those who are equipped to move far and beyond, we are going to provide programs for those students to push them even further, and those students who come to us who need more attention in certain areas. We're going to have specialized programs for those students to provide that care for them so that they can be properly educated also. And I'm thankful that I have the kind of staff members who are willing to do that, because they understand what's at stake here.
Right. Well, on behalf of the officers and members of the local NAACP, I want to do like the leper did, who came back to Jesus, who was one of the 10 that he healed, just to say thank you and your staff. You are appreciated more than you realize you are, and this is from the bottom of my heart, the bottom of the parents' heart whose children you've affected their lives, and all of those who will come through your doors in future years. Thank you for having the passion that you have for doing what you need to do. Well, we're getting ready to end our program today, our interview today, and we want to thank you for continuing to join the PM Talk Show. Please continue to do so. Have a great week. Thank you, Mr. Perry.
Thank you, Ms.
And
Martin.
God bless.